Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. So instead of my normal Survivor videos, I'm here to review a movie that I just recently saw a few days ago. It's the new Amazon Prime movie, The Manor. And it's interesting because that's my first horror movie, so I look at that as a personal accomplishment. And it's interesting because normally, I would stay away from horror movies. Like, I could barely get through Scooby Doo, and then have to sleep with the lights on. Or, like, last night on walking home from work, I kept thinking, the Manor was interesting. It's not like the movie Coraline, because that movie freaks me out. And sure enough, I walk back home, and what are my roommates watching? Coraline. I was like, oh my gosh. But, I wanted to give this a chance because my friend Barbara Hershey was the star, so, I had to give it a chance. So, before I continue, spoilers alert, I had no idea what I was going to be getting myself into because, like I said, I've never seen a horror movie before. I've only, I'm picturing what I've heard about horror movies. I mean, my brother's like a horror movie expert, but like I had no idea what to expect. Like all throughout the movie, I kept thinking, "Oh my God, is this going to be like some kind of gory, like blood and guts type of horror movie?" And it wasn't actually. It seemed more like a psychological thriller, and yeah, it didn't have any of that. So I was like, okay, I'm interested. I was wondering, like, where are the jump scares? Are there going to be jump scares? Like these big monsters that just jump out of nowhere? And at one point, there was like a scary monster, and there was maybe like one or two scenes where I was like, oh my gosh. But no, it didn't, oddly enough, it didn't scare me, which, again, I'm pretty proud of that. But the script was very original. I mean, not like the crap you see on TV nowadays. It seemed like a very original and also a very realistic script in the sense that it kind of deals with ageism and like what happens when people get older. Like Barbara Hershey's main character, Judith, just recently suffered a stroke, and now she's living in this manor, so because she doesn't want her family to see her health decline, basically, and she's dealing with her own health problems, and I guess the unknown of like how bad is her health gonna get, how quickly is it gonna like get to that point, and all through the movie you kind of witness like other elderly people there too, but they hardly get any visitors, and that's sadly enough that's very realistic because you see all the time when you go to retirement homes that they don't get a lot of visitors. And I should know because my nana used to work in, oddly enough, a place called we used to call the Manor. I know, spooky, right? But it was a retirement home, and I would often bring my nana lunch or bring her like an iced coffee. Now she worked there; she wasn't a resident, but I visited there enough to see like there's people that have been there for years and their family hasn't come to visit them, and it's so sad. So a lot of times, and maybe it's not always the case, but like in 8 to 9 times out of 10, when somebody goes to a retirement home, the only way they leave there is in a pine box, and they mention that in the movie too. So the other thing that was interesting to me was the relationship between Barbara Hershey's character and Nicholas Alexander's character, the grandmother and grandson relationship. And I kind of connected on that level too, because I have a similar relationship with my Nana, and it seemed like in the movie they're like each other's best friends, and you don't normally see that, like a grandparent's like the grandchild's best friend, but it seems like, she could be herself around him and vice versa, and he makes her feel young again. And I think Josh Nicholas Alexander's character, I feel like he went through some traumatic stuff in his life, and he didn't have anybody there for him, but his grandmother was there when it counted. So I totally get that. I was like, oh wow, this is really really good. And I guess, like I mentioned, like normally people would go here to die, not get any visitors, but her grandson visits pretty consistently and doesn't want to see I think in a way doesn't want to see his grandmother's health deteriorate, but then also too, he's struggling with if it is what his grandmother's seeing the truth. Is this like a symptom of dementia coming? And I feel like the daughter, I feel like in a way she's putting like a wedge in between Josh and Judith. And the way I look at it is that she has apparently a complicated relationship with Judith. We have no idea what went on behind the scenes or whatever, but whatever reason, she has a complicated relationship with her mother, and I feel like she's jealous of Josh and the relationship that he has with her mother, because they're so close and they're not so close. So I feel like I feel like in a sense she feels like a sense of guilt because she wasn't there for her child when he needed her, and her mother was. So I feel like she might, if I'm looking from the character's point of view, maybe she wants to try to make up for lost time, but at the same time maybe she just doesn't want her influence around Josh anymore, and she's just not listening to her mother. She's like treating her like she's the child now. Like when people get older, sometimes we see the dynamic shift, how parents used to be parents to their kids, and then it flip-flops and the kids become parents to their parents. And I feel like she's just brushing off what Judith is trying to tell them what's going on, and she's just saying, oh, this is dementia, or like you need to go back to the home, like not even considering like taking her out of the home. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm glad Josh was able to find ways to visit his grandmother, but yeah, that's the only thing like I could think of about that situation, why the mother's like, to me, putting a wedge in between them. But it's sad because it's like, on one hand you think, oh, is this a form of dementia, or is this real? Because some people won't even give elderly people the time of day. They just brush it off and think, oh my, they're just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, So they're not even like listening to her. Josh was the only one that listened to her, but his mom was in his ear, so he was starting to have doubt, but he came around. But Judith keeps seeing things around the home, and people are dying around her, and normally you'd think, well, it's a retirement home, of course people are gonna die, but it's like the supernatural keeps seeing these figures and everything, and they're trying to like over medicate her, it seemed like, because of course, like, you know, you have your medication or whatever, but they seem like they're just trying to give her meds to kind of control the problem, because I guess, and this is just what I'm thinking like if they like over medicate her, like that she'll be easier to control. So I feel like they're trying to do that in a way. And she eventually finds out the secrets of the home. And again, spoilers alert, 'cause I'm getting to like the like what happens in the movie here. But I knew what I liked about the script is that the twists and turns. There was some cases though that I knew. There was one instance I knew exactly what was happening, because they had the three residents who Judith played poker with, and you had the three people in the retirement home, like the orderly, the person in charge, and then the person assisting. I had a feeling like that those were the older people, and they said, I think really beginning of the movie, somebody mentioned how high school kids, you know, come around the grounds, and you know, and I thought, oh my god, 2 girls, 1 boy, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's them. So that was the only thing I knew, like, that's them somehow. How? I have no clue, but turns out that was right. And I gotta say, the ending really, I really did like the ending, and I wasn't sure how the ending was gonna go. I think Barbara, because I'm trying to catch up like on all the interviews and press for the Manor, and I think Barbara mentioned that the ending surprised her. It's not that she didn't like the ending, it just surprised her. So I'm thinking, okay, what are the possible scenarios here? Now, the 2 endings that I thought were going to happen, I thought the main character Judith was going to die somehow. I thought she was either going to be like scared to death, or they were going to or she was maybe going to commit suicide because of all these things she's saying and nobody believing her. It's, you know, it could drive a person mad. So I think maybe she would, I don't know how she would have killed herself, but I thought maybe like she'd commit suicide. The other thing too, the only other ending that I thought of is that, is this going to be like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? And this is like the gory stuff, but I thought, oh my god, are they going to give her like a lobotomy or something? Because, you know, when you have, I've seen like movies before, like when people are quote unquote problems, when they're not really a problem, you know what I mean? They try to control it. So like one instance that I mentioned before is like over medicate them so that way they're easier to control. But then also the lobotomy, it completely, like, they turn into a vegetable basically. So I thought, you know, they do that, then they're not going to hear any complaints from her anymore. So I'm like, oh my god, is this where it's going to go? And no, I was so surprised. I was like, holy fuck. It basically, I really like it how it brought like the whole movie together. It ended with what I suspected was right, but I didn't know that they were part of a witch cult and everything. And they offer Judith and Josh a chance to join them, and they'll never grow older than they are now. And at nighttime, they become their younger selves of when they were the most happiest. And or basically they can you can go through all the health problems you're going to go through. And Josh, they're basically saying like Josh will watch his grandmother die, and we'll see all the people around him die. And I feel like it was manipulative in a way, because obviously they had to know that Josh's dad died, so I feel like they were using that to kind of bring them into their circle, and they ultimately choose to stay in that circle. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting concept, because now you see at the end that Josh and Judith will always be together and that they won't lose each other. And I kind of like that, because it shows how close and what a deep bond they had. And what I thought was kind of funny is, like, the movie starts off with a birthday party, and it has the number 70 on it, because, obviously she turned 70. And at the end of the movie, it's still 70, and the daughter comments, like, isn't that the wrong age? And because they won't age anymore, that's the birthday cake. That's why the birthday cake's the way it is. But it's interesting because, Barbara's character was, like, witnessing the residents die around them, because in order for them to stay young, they have to sacrifice people. So now Barbara's character and Nicholas's character are now going to be sacrificing people. You think about it, like, it completely twists and turns, but I get her decision, because she doesn't want to go through what she's about to go through. And I feel like her time in the manor, I feel like she's seen how the residents end up alone, and how some of the residents have more serious issues. So I feel like she doesn't want to get to that point. And then also too, with Josh, I don't feel like he's already, like, been through an experience where somebody close to him died, and that's obviously affected him and put a wedge between him and his mother. So he doesn't want to see the only person who was there for him and cares about him die. So he wants to stay with her, and you see that he now is going to be an employee at the manor now. So yeah, it was a really good movie. It was a really good script. Like, there wasn't, like, again, I don't see horror movies too often, but I swear to God, I thought there was going to be, like, bloody gore, like, I'm gonna kill you type of things, but I really enjoyed it, and I think I might actually watch that again. Now, I didn't watch this at night, because I was gonna originally watch it when it dropped on Amazon, but I'm thinking, hell no. I had no idea what I was gonna get myself into, so I didn't want to be, like, not being able to sleep at night. So I watched it the next morning, and it was good. Yeah, I thought Barbara Hershey's character I thought she was amazing. I thought she was amazing in the role. She really, I really like how she, like, showed the character, like, more in depth, and she kind of brought awareness to, like, the ageism and discrimination against older people. Like how I mentioned in the beginning of the video, how people don't really listen to elderly people, and they just brush it off like they're crazy, and they put them in, like, manors or retirement homes like they're somebody else's problem now. Because even Josh mentions at one point, you don't even want to take care of her. So I'm like, I feel like he's not wrong. But yeah, Barbara was amazing in the role. I really liked the relationship of Judith and Josh. It was very relatable and something you don't see a lot. Like, it wasn't like an old versus young thing. I shouldn't use versus, but it wasn't like this person's old, this person's young thing. Like, they seemed like you didn't see age with them. They just seemed kind of like best friends. Like, you didn't really think about, like, that she's 70 and he's probably like 17, 18. Like, it didn't matter. What mattered was these two people, their deep connection and bond that they have with each other. And I think the overall, I mean, there's obviously another message, I'll get to that in a minute, but I feel like one of the messages of the film is how far are you willing to go to keep those bonds and relationships? And we see that at the end of the film with Judith and Josh, and how far they were willing to go to stay together and keep that bond they have. But then also to the other, I think the other thing the film was about ageism and how realistic that is. And you don't think about those things. You just think, oh, this is a movie, but you don't realize that that's actually real. And you think to a degree that there probably is some people with dementia who probably do see things like that to a degree. I'm not talking about seeing like monsters or anything like we saw in the film, but they probably, see different things because their mind's not all there anymore. So they probably see things that we don't, but then also too how people are just brushed aside and they don't give them the time of day. So it's very realistic and very good. I don't know if I'll see another horror movie again. This was I want to keep an open mind. I gave this a shot because I love Barbara. She's amazing, and I wanted to watch this, and it was so good. I definitely recommend it. It is on Amazon Prime. If you guys don't have Amazon Prime, you should get it. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed The Manor. Comment down below your thoughts. Barbara, if you're watching this, I loved the movie, and I know saying something because I've told you before how I don't watch horror movies, and I loved your character. I love you. I think you were amazing, fantastic, brilliant, amazing, wonderful job, Barbara, and amazing job to the cast and crew. It was a very, very good film. I hope you guys take the time to sit down and turn the lights off and watch The Manor. And until next time, stay regal.